From the BBR studios, where we talk about everything racing and a little bit more, it's Line Locked, coming at you live but recorded. I am your host, Chris, with my co-host,
Corey.
I'm
here.
Are you here?
I'm here.
All
Are you
right.
here?
I am here on our very first episode of Line Locked. And let me tell you, I am really, really excited about all of this because now we can talk about all forms of racing with a little emphasis on drag racing because that's our specialty.
That's our thing.
But you know, we're going to talk about all kinds of
Everything.
racing.
And probably a lot of humor, a lot of BSing.
A lot of stuff. And so, speaking of, we need to kind of put that little disclaimer out there that, you know, if you're easily offended by humor or what have you, you know, you might want to keep one finger on your ear so there's some things you can block out or, you know, we don't want to offend anybody on purpose.
Yeah, and, you know, most of our humor, it's not meant to hurt anybody's feelings. It's just, you know, that's just our humor.
Yeah.
And we find it funny, and I think we'll find it funny, too, if you're open-minded about it. But it can be offended. You know, you can be offended pretty easily. So I just want to make sure that if you are one of those types of people, it's no problem. Just click off this video. It's not a big deal. But if you don't mind it, you know, keep watching. What we ask you is not to unsubscribe. Okay? Just don't watch these videos. So this new podcast, I'm actually really excited about it because it gives us the opportunity to talk about a lot of different stuff that we wouldn't normally be able to talk about on our normal videos.
Yes.
And it's going to be audio-visual, so we're going to have a video on our Blood Brothers Racing channel. Mm-hmm. And we're also going to release this in podcast form so you can listen to it when you're driving down the road or when you're at work, which I know a lot of people appreciate that. I know you do a lot of driving.
Oh, yeah, I do a lot of traveling, so it's good to be able to put one of those podcasts on, and it actually helps the drive go a little faster, it seems, because you're going to listen to something, especially if the people talking are interesting. And so that's where we hope to be, is interesting enough that you want to continue to listen throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, and I know when I'm doing menial work at my other jobs or whatever, I throw a little podcast in because it makes everything go by a little faster. You know, so that's kind of what we're doing here. Plus, we need those watch hours, guys.
Oh yeah.
So,
and just as a kind of a foreshadowing thing here, we are planning on putting a new one out every week at 8:00 on Sunday evenings. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Around that area. So, you know, you can click on, and hopefully, if you have your notifications clicked on the Blood Brothers channel, and once we get the new Line Locked podcast channel up, put your notification button on there, hit it, and you'll get a notification whenever a new one is released.
I'd say probably for the first, at least probably 2 months, it's just going to go on the Blood Brothers Racing channel, and then we'll move it over to its own segment. Mm-hmm. Again, anybody that's subscribing to the Blood Brothers channel, please, if you're not the type of person that likes a lot of dark humor, we'll see you on the next video, okay? We've got all kinds of cool stuff coming. This is just a segment of it.
Well, maybe we can make one episode with just nothing but unicorns and just fairies and stuff like that.
Everybody gets participation trophies.
Yes, exactly.
And just beautiful comments. That's the only comments. Yeah. All right, so that's kind of what we're doing here, and kind of an example of what our trajectory of this is going to be is, you know, we're going to have different segments. The first one, or, you know, we may mix it up, but, you know, for this foreseeable future, we're going to talk about in the beginning kind of some of the news that's out there. And mind you, we're going to be a week or two behind in news, so we're not always going to be up to date. But, you know, we're going to talk about what is currently and what we think about it. So an example of that is we're just going to be talking about the NHRA because, again, that's kind of what we're familiar with, and the race in Las Vegas just happened. Mm-hmm. So we'll kind of just announce kind of the winners of it and where they stand as far as the championship series, because they only got one more race left. So they just raced in Las Vegas, and next week, or I think it's next week, the week after, I can't remember. I'll tell you what the date is right here.
Yeah, it would be nice.
In-N-Out Burger NHRA Finals is November 9th to the 12th, so it's this coming weekend.
Where at?
That's going to be in Pomona, California.
All right, yeah.
So they just got done racing in Las Vegas, and we'll just talk about kind of the main ones that people know about. Again, this isn't going to be all we're talking about. It's just some news that we're familiar with right now. But so the last race at, again, Las Vegas, the Pro Stock motorcycle was Gage Herrera, and then Erica drive the bitch back, Enders. She won Pro Stock. Robert Height won Funny Car, and Mike Solanas won Top Fuel. which
So where's that put everybody in those points?
Well, that's what I was about to get at. Is none of those people are actually in the number one spot for their category.
Oh,
So there's going to be a shakeup, and a lot of people are probably pretty close to be able to maybe even win in Pomona. So actually, I lied to you. Gage Herrera is actually number one. He won last week. He's 181 points ahead. So I don't think anybody's going to catch him.
Yeah.
That's Pro Stock Motorcycle. And Pro Stock, Erica Enders is number one. So I lied to you twice.
okay. We got to do some better preparation.
Yeah, we do.
here.
Absolutely. And we'll get better at this. But she's 114 points ahead of Greg Anderson. So, and I'm not sure how many points you can get at an event, but I think 114 may be a little bit too far away.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe a touch too far away. I mean, it's not a minus 2,529 points like Mike Smith is in Funny Car. But
that Mikey sure is funny.
he is funny. But
Bring
he
it up the rear of the field.
But he ain't a champion.
champion. Oh.
All right. So Matt Hagan is number one in Funny Car right now, and he's only got a 15-point head lead in front of Bob Tasca, and 17 in front of Robert Height. So that is within margins where they could definitely win that out. So that'll be an interesting watch this weekend to figure out, who's going to be the winner there. In Top Fuel, similar situation here. Steve Torrance is number one, and he only has a 15-point lead on Doug Coletta by 15 points.
Is Coletta the son of Connie Coletta? Do you know?
Yes. Yeah.
And if you remember that story, if you've ever watched the movie, if you haven't watched the movie, you should go back and find it. It was made in, I think, the early 80s maybe, but it was about Shirley Madowney, Connie Coletta, and their racing experience, and I was kind of curious if that was
I believe it
their
is.
son. I'm
This
pretty sure it is.
may be fake news. We need to have a fake news button. We need to write all this stuff down, Chris.
Hey, if anybody knows the answer to that, we can easily look it up. But hey, just write us.
Yeah.
And,
I'll tell you what, we will not look it up, and you will tell us.
yes, tell us how wrong we are.
Yeah, comments are always good. They'll keep you honest. The next in line is Leah Pruitt, and she's 34 points behind, and that's probably within margins too.
Yeah.
So if Steve Torrance goes out or doesn't qualify for some reason, Leah could get that opportunity to win it.
So I want to say something now. Of the names that you've mentioned here in the last couple minutes, I think I heard 3 female names.
Yeah. Yep.
And that is so exciting for our sport.
Yep.
Just to have females out there because it's been a male dominated sport for
Absolutely.
so long, and now we have some females in there that's actually pulling ground. And I think the first ones that we really started hearing about was the Forces.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Courtney and was it Erica?
Erica, I think. Yeah. So they've done really well, of course. But now we got some newcomers coming into the field. And doesn't Enders have a sister too?
Yeah,
races?
that's Courtney Enders. But she doesn't race. She's actually on Flow Racing. If you want to put comment down below, Courtney, I would appreciate that. She's a pretty big deal over at Flow Sports.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And if anybody is a subscriber of Flow Sports or not, you should be. It's great drag racing.
Yeah.
They don't cover the majority of the big NHR races. They cover pro mods and they cover a lot of the smaller races, but they do it just as good as NHRA does. And it's a great program.
I know that when we're at the track and Flo's covering it, it's good to be able to watch it from our.
So I think there was at least 2 races we did this year that had Flow Sports.
Yeah, it's exciting to be able to watch yourself on TV if you've never been on there.
We're famous.
And watch how bad you mess up in front of a million people watching.
Hey, we could watch us all the way to round 1.
That's right. All the way to round 1, and then
All
our
the way
day
to
is
round
done.
1.
The day is done.
Hey, but hell, we look good in qualifying, though.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So watch that. That's the type of stuff we're dealing with as far as news. We're also going to throw in there a little bit of tech segment, and may talk about something that's news come out or some new rule or something, some kind of shakeup, something interesting to us that we feel like you guys are going to find interesting as well. So that's kind of what we're going to do in the beginning of the podcast.
And kind of going back to what we talked about a little bit ago is, we want to hear from you. So if there's something you want us to talk about, or, maybe you want to jump on the air with us here and talk to us and your opinions and things, we'd like to hear from you. Write to us, get on the channel and send us a message or a comment on one of our videos, and we will talk about it for sure.
And that brings us to another point is in the future, we plan on having guests either here with us or Zoom called in. The quality will still remain the same as much as we can anyway. Preferably here would be cool, but a Zoom call would be cool too. And if we could get big enough to where we could get some big names in here and be able to ask them the hard questions that nobody else will ask them, that would be awesome. So that's kind of where we're trying to go with that.
We're going to do some Barbara Walters stuff here. Get them to cry.
Yeah, get them to cry.
Oh,
all right, so that's kind of the news program of this. And then after that, we're going to go into the main topic. This particular podcast, the main topic's going to be brothers ask brothers questions.
Oh, yeah.
So we just thought of some secret questions that I've never heard from him and he's never heard from me, and we're gonna ask them and then see where that goes, and maybe some good content. But it, just something to throw out there. So, do you want to go first, or me go first?
I can go first.
How many questions do you have?
I've got 3, but
I've got
depending
3
on
as well. So
depending on the time, we can narrow it down a couple, and maybe do another one another time.
Now, I want to address this. I did not do these questions.
Oh, you did not?
Well, I told you this is what I wanted to do last week.
Yeah.
And I was thinking I'll get that, earlier, and then no, forgot all about it. So today I went and got my hair done. My hair did up, and I asked the lady cutting my hair what some good questions would be. So this is coming from the hairdresser.
Oh no! Oh goodness!
One of them, I'll tell you, one of them's from me, which makes sense to the podcast, and then the other 2 are from a hairdresser.
Okay. All right. So, well, you want to start? Or you want me to start?
It doesn't matter. What do you want to do?
I'll go first.
Okay.
All right. So, this is these questions are kind of meant to put you on the spot.
Yep.
So, how do you feel about all of the street racing that's going on, and all the guys like doing donuts and all that stuff in the middle?
Oh,
of the
you're talking about the takeovers?
Whatever, take over the streets.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
those kind of
takeovers.
those. Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous. I love a good time, and I love a good burnout. But when you're shutting down interstates, or you're doing it in parking lots where it's dangerous, I personally, I'm on board for it. Looks cool.
Yeah.
And I know they're having a good time. But also on the flip side of it, man, it only takes a couple people getting hurt or killed to really put a damper on what we do. The reason they built drag strips was to get street racing off the street. And I can also appreciate street racing. So don't even I'm not even going to go down that road. As long as everybody's being safe about it. In the middle of the night on a country road, you do you, boo-boo. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about these takeovers where there's 100 people in a parking lot, that's dangerous.
Yeah, and it seems to be going towards, we want to do this and video it so we can show everybody that what we're doing. And you see all those videos of people flying off the sides of the cars and getting hit and knocking their shoes off and stuff. But I agree with you. And the point is that, they're putting so many other people at risk and causing problems in normal everyday activity that people have to go through to get to their jobs or whatever and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is somebody's going to get really hurt, and it's going to be a black mark towards us.
And that goes to the entire car community. This podcast isn't just about drag racing, and we can appreciate all forms of racing, and that whether that be roundy round, figure eight. Any of that performance automotive stuff, performance automotive, Beth Alto, Illinois, our favorite engine builders.
Yeah.
We can appreciate all that, and it really is a black eye on all of us when something goes wrong. Mm-hmm. And there's so much chance of that, especially these takeovers are a lot of times are 18-year-old kids that really have, some of them are probably pretty talented drivers, but it only takes one idiot. And I'm telling you, just look around you. Just look around you. Just look down, go to Walmart and just hang out for a minute and look about half of the people that go by. That's who's doing this. You know what I mean? Would you want them to do that? I wouldn't, man. It's just it's scary.
Yeah, it's very scary. Yeah, I agree. And the thing about it is, what I always find funny about these videos is that they think that their cars are really fast and stuff, and that they're able to do a donut in a car. I think I could probably do it in my old Dodge Omni that I had at one time.
You give me a slick road. I could do it. I could do it on everything. Yeah, it don't matter.
But
it is what it is, and it's all relative. They think their car's fast, and hey, we've both been humbled in that arena. We thought we had some fast stuff, and then found out it wasn't that fast.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's all relative to what you're trying to do. It may not go fast straight line, but it could go fast around the corner or something. But yeah. So my question
Is this
not from
you?
a hairdresser.
This is
from
from you. Okay.
All right. Would you rather run a blower or be naturally aspirated?
Oh.
When you're talking about bracket racing or index racing, not heads up, because obviously heads up's going to be a winner.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of experience with blowers, except this first year this present year that I've raced. And I can tell you that it's been more consistent from my experience getting it to where it needs to go. However, we've run into more problems.
More moving parts.
More moving parts. There's more to think about. The weather changing, the density, altitude, and the barometer changing, and all that seems to make a difference in how you're going to run. So it requires a lot more calculations to get your number every time, and that's just a years of experience with me. So I know that a lot of these guys have all that stuff dialed in perfectly. And they can figure it out. If the temperature changes 2 degrees, that they know what they've got to change on there.
Throttle stops.
The throttle stops, whatever. Yes. But
the ET Genie is not a throttle stop, by the way.
Oh, we just stopped that. All right.
I mean, there's more tunability. You have more options for weather changes.
Yes.
But with that, you have more moving parts, more things to break, more things to maintain.
Yes. And I'll tell you, though, that from my first year to my second year, going from naturally aspirated to a blower, a roots blower, that the power difference is quite a bit different.
A lot of low end torque.
A lot of lower end torque.
It changes a man, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does change
It changes a man.
It changes a man. And so my experience has been very humbling and just learning.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's a lot of learning to do.
Yeah. And you're on a good program. You had a motor built by Performance Automotive.
Mm-hmm.
We supplied some stuff, blower that I ran last year, and the block and whatnot. But they built an excellent motor.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It's
definitely
going to last.
Yeah, those guys over there are excellent, and they worked with everything we needed, and the parts we had, they were able to work with those. They told us what the good parts were and what the bad parts were, what needed to be replaced, and what would last and wouldn't last.
Honest with us.
Yeah, very honest. Yeah. And that was the biggest thing, because you can easily go throw $20,000 in a motor that someone says is built, and you don't know until you take it apart yourself. What's really in it. We've actually got screwed by that.
I.e., what we did 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. That's a subject for another time.
This is a motor built for nitrous.
Yeah. So, but yeah, those guys at Performance Automotive are pretty darn stellar.
Pretty darn stellar.
Yep,
partner.
Partner. All right. Do you want to do another one more, or do you want to just move on?
No, we'll do one more.
We'll do one more. We got a little bit of time here.
It's fine.
So this is drag racing related. How do you feel about running more than one class in the same events?
It really depends on the event turnout and how many classes there are, and whether that's going to impose a problem on other racers. If somebody's waiting around from you because you just got done with a lap, the thing is regardless of how many there are, when you get to the finals, if you're able to make it, Jackson, then somebody's going to have to wait on you, because there isn't, when you have 5 classes to run, that's 5 laps on the track, and there's just not enough time, even if you ran the first and the last, to be able to suit up and get back in. Although, if it's in the same car, you have the problem with you get another shot at the track. So, it's, to me, I would rather see everybody run one class. It's the most fair way to present it, and you don't run into an issue where big money wins. And part of the reason that we like racing in the style of racing we race in is because the parity is based on your index, which is good if you're running one car, only one car, or it's based on basically index, essentially. So I just think it's the most fair way to approach it. How do you feel?
I'm along the same lines as you are. So since the track changes from beginning to the end of the day, there's different changes. One class may go out there and kind of knock the crap out of the glue on the track, and every time you make a pass, you're getting a better acquainted with that track.
Seat time.
How seat time on there. So it seems to give you a little unfair advantage.
Yeah. So devil's advocate.
Yeah.
2 classes, 2 cars. How can you say they're the same? Especially if somebody's running Jackson 750, and I think he's running 9.0 in comp.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big difference in a car and seating position and everything. So how can you say that's the same? You get another shot at the track. I don't necessarily buy into it because they're so different. But here's where you can buy into it, Jackson, is if you run, say, your comp car and you ran a number slow, and you know that car. So when you run the 750 car, you dial a number.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's your shot at the track. Yeah. Is you it may not be the same car, but if you know your car and it ran a number faster than you predicted, then you know what you're going into the next round, even if it's a different car.
Yeah.
But as far as like trans brake, as far as like getting to the line and procedures, totally different cars.
Yeah.
So but also, again, devil's advocate, trying to do that has to weigh on you. Mm-hmm. The amount of effort it takes to get it done.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of work, a lot of moving parts, a lot of dedication from your team members or your crew.
Oh, dude,
that's
absolutely.
Getting the stuff ready for you, getting the car where it needs to go, so you can just jump in and go.
And that Friels family, the Friels Circus, dude, they're on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Jackson.
Well, yeah. All right. So, what's your question? Let's go on to the next one.
Pick 1 or 2.
So this is the hairdresser question?
Pick 1 or 2.
2.
What job are you totally unqualified for, but still think you could do a good job at?
Oh my God! Now that's really putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with racing.
Well, we can do number 1.
No, so we'll save number 1 for another day.
All right.
So what job do I think I'm really good at, but totally unqualified for?
Yeah, you do a good job, but you're totally unqualified.
I hate to be boring here, but what I do in video production and graphic design and all that stuff, I've never had any formal training. I've just taught myself. And
boring.
So it is very boring. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's very boring. Okay, go. What's number 1 question?
My answer is porn star, by the way. Totally unqualified,
but you're good at it. Okay, so that's a good answer.
Yeah.
See, I had nothing.
Well, but I had the hindsight of 2020 there.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so quickly, would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? This is from the hairdresser.
1 horse-sized duck or 100
duck-sized horses.
What the hell, man?
I don't know. I don't even have a good answer for this.
I don't know if I can kick them out of the 100 of them out of my way fast enough. Oh, it's like getting swarmed by hornets with horses.
There is no. I think both answers are losses.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll take A or B on that one.
Whatever's coming at you, you're fighting.
Exactly. Oh, goodness.
All right. So that was our topic, our discussion. And then we're going to move on to viewer comments and questions. Because this is our first episode, we don't obviously have anybody commenting on this to be able to do it in the next video. But what we're going to do is take some comments from our YouTube channel. And I think they both happen to be from one individual because he commented the best on 2 videos. So give us the first one, Chris.
All right. Well, this is on a video that you did not too long ago. And it's posted by Hetzler Racing. Mm-hmm. And it's about how you screwed up so bad.
Oh.
Yeah, which I think is pretty a common theme.
Which video?
I was going to say, it's a common theme.
Which video?
So it's going about how in your final round you changed your plan of how you were going to go in your elimination race.
So it's the video at Martin, Michigan.
With the Nova.
Yep.
And he says, again, this is from Hetzler Racing, it's hard when you go into a round with a game plan and someone changes how the race looks. You only have a couple of seconds to process what is going on and then come up with an alternative plan and execute it.
He is 100% right. 100% right. So in that particular race, I believe I was able to edge out Mike Ryan in a qualifying round because me and Mike Ryan kind of bet on stuff. And that plan worked for me. And I tried to implement it on the next race, which is E1. and I lost the guy in my window. I couldn't see him. So instead of just sticking with the plan of keeping right ahead of the guy, I no longer knew where the guy was, and I let out of it too soon. There is nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
You really can't rely on what the other guy's doing because you haven't raced the other guy enough to know where he's supposed to be at. So your game plan has to be in index racing, or maybe even bracket racing, kind of, because brackets are similar, but in index racing for sure. You can't rely on it, and you got to make split seconds decisions. But you have to base it on your own vehicle. You know what you're doing. Don't worry about what is in the other lane. So if you're going too fast, you can't slow it down enough, and you say, "I'm going to let out 1,000 foot or whomp it twice at the 1,000 foot." That's your plan. Don't be relying on another guy, because even though 9 seconds seems like a long time, I mean it does for me anyway. We both started at the same time. It ain't my fault I finished first. You hearing me? I'm just saying 9 seconds is not a long time at all.
Yeah.
Especially when you're making those decisions in the last 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah. And I remember us talking before your race that where you were trying to find a marker on the track of where you thought you were going to let off.
The Trump flag was my first one.
How'd that work out for you?
Not well, because I didn't use it.
So the thing is, the takeaway is you didn't race that car at all that weekend.
Never. I've never raced him.
So you didn't
ever.
know how his splits were as far as his beginning of his track race for like first 8th mile to the last 8th mile.
So I think he actually commented, the guy I raced against commented and said he was running too fast, so he had to shift early. I think it was on the Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
That he commented that he said, I had to shift earlier to slow the car down. That's the reason that you lost me.
Yeah.
Is because I shifted so much sooner
Yeah.
than normal, right?
Yeah.
So again, all those variables change, and it's impossible. If I would have raced that same guy in, say, Indy, his race we would have looked different, because he would have shifted I think he shifted at 6,200 in Martin, Michigan. It would have looked different when he had to shift at 7,000 to make his time.
Yeah.
That would have been a different race.
Yeah, it would have
That's
been
why
totally different.
you cannot rely on the two.
Exactly. One more comment, and it's from Hetzler Racing again. And sorry, guy, man, we love your comments, so we appreciate you
he's
inputting on it. But
and speaking of which, if you guys are on the YouTubes right now and you want to watch somebody, he could throw a little subscriber his way.
yeah, it's Hetzler Racing 5490 there on YouTube. But this is about one of my races. Actually, I think it was my last video. First time ever the car on the launch actually headed towards the wall. Took off good, went through 60 foot good, had great times, and then just went left. And I had to lift. And he said to me on here, best to lift and save it for another day like you did. Too many guys try to be a hero and end up bending their car. And that's true. I mean,
100%.
I didn't want to.
The guy took us to church twice now.
Yes, he has.
He
Yeah.
did. Preach it, brother.
Yes.
You know, all of it's true.
Yeah, I didn't want to put my car in the wall. I didn't want to have to replace fenders or fix front end parts and stuff like that. It just wasn't worth it. We got too much money wrapped up into this, in our budget, and we're not made of money, and we don't want to bend this stuff up.
And blower motors aren't cheap.
No, not at all.
Running 10.0, which is, relatively, it's not like you're not turning the world around here.
Yeah.
It's still expensive to do it. And they made the 11.0 class, and we could have probably dropped down there and saved parts, but nobody wants to go slower.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, Hetzler, for giving us 2 great comments, and that just so happened to be the comments we chose, because there was others there, but those both were really good topics to talk about. And I what I've always told you was, if you feel weird about it, just back off.
Oh, definitely.
Save it,
Definitely.
because we can't. If it's just a fender, it's a fender. We're replacing the doghouse anyway.
Yeah.
But when you start bending up frame rails and it costing other parts, those Doug headers, you would have bent those guys
Oh
up
man,
too.
those things.
We wouldn't want to have to reinstall them.
I'd wanna-
you saved us 2 days just having to reinstall them.
Those things are in there for life.
It's like when you move that big piece of furniture in the house and you're just selling it with it.
Yeah, it's going. If they want it out, they're going to have to get a hacksaw. They're going to have to saw all that thing out of the house because it's not moving.
Ooh.
Hey, guys, listen, our time's about up for today.
Yep.
We wanted to make sure that you liked and subscribed and hit the notification buttons for
Comment. Leave us a comment.
Yes.
We'll talk about it the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about it on the next one. Definitely comment and give us your input on anything that you want to talk about. And if we're just wrong about something, tell us we're wrong. We like some little controversy here and there.
Absolutely. And again, if you're offended and you made it this far, we're sorry.
Yeah. So join us on the next episode of Line Locked, where we're going to talk about all things racing and a little bit more. So until then, I'm Chris.
Woo! And I'm Corey. And we are Line Locked. We missed it. We missed it.
All right, see you guys. Have a good night.